Hello everyone. Nice to have you all both here in person and there in person and everywhere in person. There shouldn't be no person anywhere, but there's person full of everywhere. Try to realize no self everywhere, but we're noticing all this self here, self there, self. I just left this morning New Zealand, so the New Zealand crowd is still there. Hello everyone, I made it. I didn't dissolve in the middle of the space, which would be a good idea. Which can happen. Before we start, as you know, next Tuesday is Sagadawa. So therefore we're celebrating Sagadawa with the Tibetan community as well as everyone who can attend. So therefore we're going to do 16-hour puja and so on. So there won't be this teaching, but of course there would be the teaching. So please, Kath will later on tell. You want to tell now, or you want to tell? Yeah, you can tell now, because we have to do a new Zoom link. Maybe.
Good evening, everyone. Hi. Good evening, everyone, from freezing Canberra. Next week, we're going to have Sakadawa, and all of you don't need to register. An email will go out asking people to register, but don't, because you'll automatically get registered and you'll get an email confirming your registration and the Zoom link. Okay, so that's what you use next week, not the Zoom link you're using tonight. Okay, thank you and all the very best.
Of course, Sakadawa is a month, not a day. So today still is part of Sakadawa. So we are very good, fortunate to be doing these teachings on in general and particularly in Sakadawa. The topic is the enlightenment itself. So before we commence the teaching, please join your hands and hearts and minds and your body, and you're all composites in being moved and inspired by the incredible qualities of the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. The first three Vajras, we have 7 Vajra points: Buddha, Dharma, the Sangha, and the 4th Vajra point is Buddha nature, and the 5th Vajra point is the enlightenment, which is the topic we are covering now. And if we practice refuge in the Triple Gem and generate loving kindness and compassion on all situations, particularly when it's extremely difficult situations, it's during difficult situations we should practice loving kindness and compassion. When we are not have difficulty, you can practice attachment. Doesn't need any teachings. When your attachment turned sour, then practice loving kindness and compassion and so on. Usual, yeah. So it's very, very obvious. The teaching is very, very obvious. Thank you very much. Let's do the refuge and 4 immeasurables. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Vyaja Eladam Mahavaja Ajevendala Ashare Vadavadavya Endavu Dadama Sangha Aitere Vyaja Eladam Mahavaja Ajevendala Ashare Vadavadavya Endavu Dadama Sangha Ajara Raja Lajam Mahayana Ajara Ajara Pada May all beings have happiness, a cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attraction, aversion, those near and far. May all beings have happiness, a cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those near and far. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never from the happiness that no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. Go to the intelligent and British possession of every Rama, Agrela, Kama, goals. As all of you know, what we are continuing as a text, but anyone, those who are just joining on our platforms on Facebook and YouTube, just joining us, welcome. This is not me. This is the Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra's Dharma activities, which is happens every Tuesday. We study some text and we try to better ourselves, our mind, by learning the Dharma. And so we are studying the very famous Buddhist, Mahayana Buddhist textbook called Uttaratantra Shastra. Uttaratantra Shastra is attributed to Maitreya, which is a future Buddha, but actually it's written by Asanga, a 4th century Buddhist scholar, and who was too humble to say it's his work. But he did not mind giving credit to Maitreya because he knew it will be safe. Maybe one of us should write the same. You write a book, but not put your name, put the name of His Holiness Dalai Lama. It's a very clever idea. There's a lot of His Holiness Dalai Lama books are like that, you know. I doubt he wrote any of those books. Anyway, so, but... So this book, this text is 404 verses long, which is quite sizable, really, length. Usually studied for a year or thereabout by really traditionally, properly, going thoroughly. It has 7 Vajra points. It's a 7 main points called Vajra points. It's got 5 chapters, but actually it's got 7 Vajra points. So we have covered the first 4 Vajra points: Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and Buddha nature. These are the first 4 Vajra points, and the fifth one is enlightenment. This is very important because enlightenment is what makes Buddha Buddha, and when we use capitalize or utilize awaken our Buddha nature, then we become enlightened and we become Buddha. And it's the Buddha who gives Dharma, and Dharma that makes ordinary people Sangha, and then Sangha go and discover their Buddha nature. so it's, in the end, the whole design is to make everybody enlightened, And so right now we are talking the topic for the fifth Vajra points, that what actually constitutes enlightenment itself, and there are 8 qualities, 8 points about enlightenment. And we are tonight discussing the 6th one. The first 5 are the nature, the cause, the result, the function, and then the, what do we call, the possessions. We discussed those already. The 6th one, which I believe you all got a handout, yeah? Starting on verse number 205, yeah? 205. It's called manifestation, or some people translate it as engagement. What it means is how does the enlightened being, enlightenment itself, engages or manifests to the benefit of others, So the topic of this is really the 3 kayas, because in Mahayana we talk about the 3 kayas. 3 kayas are enlightenment itself manifesting or revealing, engaging in the function of the enlightenment. If the manifestation of enlightenment did not exist, then there would be no purpose of enlightenment. So we talked about the nature of the enlightenment, cause, the result and function, and the possession. So all of those 5 are only good if it engages with the world. So that's why this 6th one is called manifestation or engagement. So actively engaging. Buddha Shakyamuni passed away, but his enlightenment is engaging incessantly. We call Buddha activity sometimes, but Buddha activity comes another topic separately. But this is the very form of the Buddha itself, the manifestations. So this will be discussed quite extensively, as it has been going. Firstly, a brief mention of the what constitute the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, these 3 kayas, and then a detailed explanation of these 3 kayas and why we have these three classifications. So that's what we're going to cover. So firstly, the brief one. Brief one is talking about 5 particular characteristics and 5 qualities. There are 10 points. First 5 characteristics and second 5 qualities of Dharmakaya. And likewise, 5 unique characteristics of Sambhogakaya, and then likewise list of qualities of Nirmanakaya. How the enlightenment engages or manifests as Dharmakaya, manifests or engages as Dharmakaya. So these are 3. So Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. Sometimes these texts use the word Swabhavakaya interchangeably with Dharmakaya. So you shouldn't think that Swabhavakaya is some kind of 4th kaya. Swabhavakaya is actually Dharmakaya, but when they use in the 4th kaya concept, they use it as a 4th. But when we talk about the general Mahayana, they only stick with the 3 kayas. 3 kayas. They don't talk 4 kayas. 4 kayas is like Vajrayana practices have that, but general Mahayana only 3 kayas. When that is done, Dharmakaya and Swabhavakaya is used interchangeably. So Dharmakaya, Dharma means truth. True, and kaya means body, or body means or form. True body. The true body. The true body has 5 characteristics. with heart beginning, end, middle, and end. That's it. Because the enlightenment is unconditioned. Enlightenment is unconditioned. Unconditioned things have characteristic do not have a beginning, do not have a middle, do not have an end. So therefore, it is not something that ends because it didn't begin. The Dharmakaya doesn't have beginning, and because it's not conditioned. It doesn't stay in the middle. It doesn't come to an abrupt end sometime. So therefore, there is no end. That means like the sky. The sky, you never know when the sky started, and the sky will never come to an end. Even apocalyptic fire burns, apocalyptic, all sorts of things happen. The sky never get burnt, the sky never get flooded. So Dharmakaya is usually likened to sky. Chukunamkashindu yermekyang, we call it, and that Dharmakaya is inseparable like the sky. Sukun jazun shintu sososha, that Rupakaya, which is collective name of both Nirmanakaya and Sambhogakaya, is like the rainbow in the sky. Rainbow in the sky. Only when the sky there's rainbow. When there's no rainbow, and where there's no space. So therefore, Dharmakaya is not a conditioned things, and so that Dharmakaya actually means our mind, our actual ultimate nature of our mind is Dharmakaya. So it doesn't get the actual nature of mind is Dharmakaya, and so the second one is totally indivisible. So means indivisible means the Buddha and the Buddha Garbha, Garbha means Dhatu, the Dharma Dhatu. Sometimes we call Dharma Dhatu or Buddha Dhatu. Dhatu means sphere or state of being. So Buddha Dhatu or Dharma Dhatu. It's inseparable from Dharmakaya is inseparable from Buddha Dhatu. Dhatu means element of the Buddhahood. So because Dharmakaya is inseparable, indivisible from Buddha Dhatu, it is therefore by nature the sphere of reality as it is itself. It is the reality. It's the ultimate reality of the Buddha Dhatu. So that's what totally indivisible. Second characteristic. And third one is non-duality. The non-dual here refers to when it's a non-dual means it is free from the contrivances of the self, I, and me and mine. It doesn't have the concept of I, me, or mine. When you and I are thinking I and me and my clothes, my this, then we that is not our Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya does not have such contrivances or concepts and ideas of I, me, mine, and therefore it doesn't distinguish between I or me or mine. It doesn't fall into any of such fabrication. So that non-dual refers to the wisdom aspect of it. The wisdom aspect of it is non-dual. And then it said devoid of the three. Now this is a very important point. Devoid of the three. Devoid of the three refers to there are three types of obscurations. There are three types of obscuration. All those three types of obscurations are no longer tainting the Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is free of those obscurations. The three obscurations will be explained later. Yeah? Three obscurations. This is just a brief one. Three obscurations. So Dharmakaya is devoid of the three obscuration, and therefore immaculate. Immaculate means it is luminous. It does not have any stain, and it doesn't have any conceptualization of itself of itself or other things, So it is devoid of any conceptualization. It is non-conceptual. Yeah. devoid of conceptualization. So that Dharmakaya, these are the nature of the Dharmadhatu. Yeah, these 5 are the characteristics of Dharmadhatu. And this Dharmadhatu, it says here, it is the realization of the yogi in meditative equipoise. When yogis meditate very hard, if they do definitely advance and achieve the meditative state, they also try to enter into these 5 characteristics of Dharmadhatu. So when the yogis finish to get rid of the obscuration and contrivances, and then they become the realization of the yogis in meditative equipoise. So we sometimes call that the child-like Dharmakaya and mother-like Dharmakaya, clarity. So when the yogis realize this, then their yogis' meditation is the child-like clear light, and then when they realize the Dharmadhatu, and that is the mother-like clear light. But the manifestation of the qualities of the enlightened ones, of course, doesn't need to meditate. Doesn't have to think they have to meditate, because it is free of conceptualizations. So those are the 5 characteristics of Dharmakaya, and now the 5 qualities of Dharmakaya. 5 qualities of Dharmakaya. The qualities endowed are. So the Tathagatas who are enlightened ones, enlightened one has these qualities, and these qualities of enlightenment are with the enlightened ones. These qualities are not kind of a object that has qualities or thing that has this quality. These qualities are necessarily qualities of the enlightened one. So who's the enlightened one? The Tathagatas. The Tathagatas who have achieved these, who have attained these qualities, endow the immeasurable. So immeasurable is the vastness of the mind, vastness of the spaciousness of the realization of the mind, of the enlightened mind, it has no bound. You can't measure from here to there or from top to bottom. There is no such concept. You could not say where the Dharmakaya starts, where Dharmakaya finishes. Therefore, it is boundless. It is immeasurable. The Tathagatas qualities, Tathagatas who has these immaculate qualities are boundless. Boundless, greater in number than sand grains of the Ganges. So this refers to the numerousness of the qualities and their manifestation. Qualities and their manifestation would outnumber the sand particles of river Ganges. So very Indian. They have not heard of Nile. Probably we can use Nile River a bit longer, don't you think? Don't you think Nile is the longest river? Yeah, I think Nile River would be very fantastic, I think. But in Indian subcontinent, Nile, Ganges is river Ganges, sand is always used in Buddhist concept. So that shows this geographical attachment to the Buddhism. It's because associated with Ganges, yeah, and because Ganges is a very big river, you wouldn't believe, and it I don't know, you can change, you can test, you can research how big it is, how large it is. Anyway. Any river's sand will do. Doesn't have to be Ganges, Who will have the time to count the particles of the river, any river, So therefore, the number of the qualities of the enlightened one, immeasurable, are indeed immeasurable, because it cannot be measured, and inconceivable. It is so deep that it blows your mind. You don't have a mind that can conceive and think about it. So don't ever try to listen to me, and I should never try to think I can think about it. it will be futile exercise, futile exercise. So, yeah, inconceivable. That says it all. And unequaled. Unequaled meaning, yeah, the qualities are no match. No match. If you really understand the Dharmakaya and the practice of the qualities of Dharmakaya, the qualities of the enlightened one, it's unequal. There's nothing can match this in terms of the depth and the breadth and the ability to help and stay very relevant and always eternally true. There's no one could argue against it or refute. It is completely unequalable. It is not. It's indomitable. It cannot be matched by anything. And the fifth one is immaculate space of the Tathagata has abandoned all the defective propensities. Yeah, so the quality is such that it has gotten rid of all obscurations, even the subtlest obscurations. So it has exhausted all the faults, relinquished all the faults, accomplished all the qualities. So these are the brief 10 the characteristic and qualities of Dharmakaya. Now, Sambhogakaya. Sambhoga means enjoyment. Kaya means form. So, enjoyment. The enjoyment means that Dharmakaya is not directly enjoyable by people unless you. Sambhogakaya directly get to be seen by others. And it's actually always relished and enjoyed by bodhisattvas. Sambhogakaya is met and witnessed by bodhisattvas. Bodhisattva enjoy the holiness of the presence of the Sambhogakaya. So Sambhogakaya teaches Vajrayana and necessary to teach Mahayana. Sambhogakaya does not teach other dharma like common vehicle dharma. If necessary, they would, of course, but mainly teach dharma, Mahayana and Vajrayana. Of course, all Vajrayana is Mahayana. That's what all the Vajrayana deities are in Sambhogakaya form, wearing the ornaments and all of that is Sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya means you enjoy all the forms, all the long hairs, all the ornaments, all the jewelries, because they don't see anything dualistically, anything dualistically, let alone those, because they don't have dualistically what they abandon, what they adopt, because of that they have transcended duality. So the Sambhogakaya is enjoyment. And Sambhogakaya also has 5 qualities. Five qualities. Sambhogakaya mainly is a speech quality of the Buddha. Dharmakaya is mainly mind qualities of Buddha. And the Nirmanakaya is mainly physical qualities. So the Sambhogakaya striving to accomplish the thorough liberation of sentient beings. So that means the Sambhogakaya is putting great effort to liberate sentient beings properly. And because of that, they do not rest in the state of Dharmakaya, but directly manifest in the form of Sambhogakaya. And to do what? To teach. So Sambhogakaya meaning mainly speech. Sambhogakaya is speech, and various form bodies. What do they do? Various form bodies of the brilliance. So the form bodies of the Sambhogakaya itself, Sambhogakaya form body itself manifests in the world, and then it goes to propagate. It goes sacred dharma. It goes to radiate the wisdom of the Dharma through the various verbal utterances, teachings, and so therefore their brilliance is mainly radiated through the teachings, because Sambhogakaya is a purified form of speech. So all the teachings that we hear, we learn, are all Sambhogakaya aspect of the Dharmakaya. Yeah. Even otherwise, Dharmakaya is not visible, so therefore we couldn't access. It got all these wonderful qualities, but it is still with the domain of only the enlightened ones. So in order for the bodhisattvas and others who can access these, the Sambhogakaya manifest in form, and that who are witnessable, like particularly in Akanishta. Here it doesn't mention, but Sambhogakaya necessarily teaches in Akanishta. He necessarily teaches the Mahayana. He teaches necessarily to the audience that are bodhisattvas, and he does not teach some on Tuesdays and Mondays and not on weekend, things like that. He's constantly teaching. So teaching is constant, and his audience is all bodhisattvas. No, so you and I wouldn't fit there, have no ticket. You wouldn't get a ticket to go in Sambhogakaya's teachings. So Sambhogakaya is a little bit restricted for the bodhisattvas. It's not that restricted, but we are bodhisattvas, we can get in, so there's not a boundary or anything like that. Because of our obscuration, we couldn't see and hear, we couldn't get to Akanishta realm. We are in samsara, we are born with a body of karma and affliction, so you can't have that. You have to have a bodhisattva kind of stage already claimed to be eligible to receive the teachings from the Sambhogakaya. So these qualities. So that's body and speech qualities. Body manifests in that way. Speech, it teaches the qualities, and then the activities resembled the king of full wish fulfilling jewels. Refers to the activity is the mind of the Sambhogakaya is to do the liberation of sentient beings. The purpose of the teaching is to liberate sentient beings. Physically manifest, verbally teach, but main thing is to liberate sentient beings. That's the intent. So the intent of the teaching, intent of the manifesting physically, is to liberate sentient beings. So these three qualities. The activities resemble king of wishful, because their activity is so benefiting and benevolent and liberating to sentient beings. It resembles the king of the wish-fulfilling jewels. Their activities of the Buddha, activities of Sambhogakaya is wish-fulfilling jewel. Because wish-fulfilling jewel, once you obtain it, you make a wish, all wishes are fulfilled effortlessly. Likewise, the activities of the Buddha fulfills the wishes of people that they never imagined. Look at Milarepa. How he fulfilled a lot. He had a lot of messy things. Who could be able to redeem your negative karma of such heavy things if it wasn't the Dharma? Yeah. So, yeah. If you know how to practice the activities of the Buddha that made Milarepa to fulfill so much wish. Now Milarepa is like a second Buddha. His life is so much cause of inspiration to people across the globe. Whoever reads Milarepa's biography, they wouldn't put it down. They'll always take some down. I've seen many Milarepa's life and biographies taken out, put in various books because they really can't put it down. It is that inspiring. Why? Milarepa's life was completely, what was wretched, what was difficult, what was painful, what was, incredible suffering, but it was all turned into wish-fulfilling gem. This celebrated Tibetan Buddhism today Tibetan Buddhism we have wouldn't be that very famous, I think. Because a lot of the Tibetan Buddhism is caught in the rituals and too much study. But those who really brought the Tibetan Buddhism is the Milarepa-like practitioners. Really, really. He synthesized. He did what everybody was talking. Everybody's stopped busy talking all the time, but never actually go to the mountain and do the thing. He did almost second to nothing, second to no one like the Buddha. Because of that, the rest of the Tibetan Buddhists, they're no rest, they're all same. They all follow the Buddha. There's really hardly any recognizable differences worth mentioning between the tradition. Milarepa is like the king of the yogis. King of the yogis. Because he actually practiced to resemble, to make his life king of jewels, wish fulfilling jewels. You know? Because he's his renunciation, his bodhicitta, his diligence. You know, this is in Tibet. We're not talking about having a home retreat with all the comfort. He's not talking in the middle of the Kirong or somewhere, all those frontiers in northern Nepal. You go there, we would wonder, how did he survive here, you know? He didn't need anything because he had all the inspiration and renunciation. Because his life was completely... Why? Because the activities of the Sambhogakaya, activities of his teacher Marpa, who is Vajra. So basically, Marpa is Vajra. Marpa taught Vajra practice to Milarepa. Milarepa practiced Vajra. All the forefathers of Kagyupas practiced Vajra. Only nowadays, maybe they have forgotten a bit. Or because maybe they've chosen simple, easy ones, Vajravarahi, and Vajra got relegated. Maybe some annual rituals, but otherwise not doing, you know. But all the, Marpa himself was seen by Milarepa as Vajra and Dharmema as Dharmema. Dharmema means Vajraneratma, you know. They were just disguised as a human form, as otherwise and he was able to have such a pure vision and pure perception, because Sambhogakaya activities of the enlightened ones. The actual various forms, so because of that, even though there are various forms, actual various forms, form is, however, not of its nature. Yeah. So what I mean by the various forms that Sambhogakaya may manifest. It's actually not the nature of Sambhogakaya that is manifesting as Sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya cannot manifest variously. Sambhogakaya only manifests to the eyes of the bodhisattvas. But due to the power of the devotion of the would-be trainees, they will see various things. They will see various things because their pure perception can see them, can see whatever they like to see. So that's the actual various forms is, however, not of its nature. So it's not the nature of Sambhogakaya is not manifestable by nature, various forms, but due to the devotee's pure perception, it could manifest differently. For instance, Marpa manifests as Vajra, or Vajra manifests as Marpa. And Marpa is not known to be a Sambhogakaya. It's a Marpa. In the convention, Marpa was a kind of householder. And a pretty heavy-handed householder, you know. This is not easy guy to get on, I think. I can say this for the sake of course, Marpa was Buddha in flesh, but Marpa actually have a quarrel with Dromi. He said, your fees are too high. He says, even I mastered my Sanskrit very well under you. People think I never went to India. I never get the same respect, so I will not pay any fee. Like your fees are too high, and I'd rather go myself to India. So that's clearly in the biography. So Marpa was quite blatant, saying that your fees are too high, he said. I mean, I haven't heard any Tibetan Buddhist masters complaining about the highness of the fee of their teacher. See, Marpa was that kind of manifestation. Why? That's why Marpa manifests variously. And some people he manifests like that. To other people he manifests as a Vajra. See, this is what he's talking about. So Sambhogakaya itself doesn't do it, but the manifestation of some in like ordinary form like Marpa Marpa is a conventional historical person, you know. So historical person will be manifest differently depending to the perception of different people. You know, and Marpa's wife also complained to Marpa quite a few times. You know, she said, "You're usually very, very nice to people, but you're so brutally very, very hard on this fella." and she gave her on turquoise. He says she gave that to Milarepa and asked Milarepa, "You can offer this, then he will give me initiation. Otherwise, he's being not giving to anything." And then Marpa says, "How the hell you take my wife's and turquoise and then you bribe that to me to get some teachings?" Then Milarepa got another problem. So if Dharmema was not acting for the sake of Milarepa, of course she wouldn't do that, yeah? See, both are playing the role to ripen this wretched person. Yeah, testing, you know. And Milarepa was very naive, you know. I mean, normal people say, "Oh gosh, his wife is giving me her turquoise to give him." Of course, he will use the logic, isn't it? And he said, "I can't take this." And he didn't. He was so pure perception. His perception was both to Dharmema and Marpa pure. So he wasn't caught dualistically in any of those doubts. But of course he got treatment differently by Dharmema gives this turquoise and Milarepa rebukes him for bringing his wife's turquoise to give to him. I mean you would say other people would say Dharmema manipulated. But no, of course. No, but both was mutually testing Milarepa. Mutually testing Milarepa. In both cases, he was practicing pure perception. So this is the talking about the Dharmaka. Sambhogaka itself by nature does not manifest, but in the eyes of the devotees, they could manifest differently. That's you know. I'm using Milarepa's an example because it is really true. You know, what he said and how he addressed about Gampo, of Marpa and Dharmema is the He Vajra and Vajra Niradma. He wasn't thinking of them as in any ordinary terms. That was his perception, because he was such a good, purified, cleansed practitioner. He had such a pure perception to see that. So those are the five qualities of Sambhogakaya. So in this case, these qualities of the body, speech, mind, and activities and varieties of the forms. So those are the five. Usually, when they list the five qualities of Sambhogakaya, they talk about the certainty, five certainties of Dharmakaya, the certainty of teaching only in Akanishta, as a realm, audience only as a bodhisattva, teaching as a Mahayana, time as all the time, and so on. So here, this particular text does not quite list those five characteristics because they are listed in other texts. So you shouldn't think, the five Sambhogakaya qualities only this. No, there are other versions. They talk about five certainties of Sambhogakaya you hear in elsewhere. And now, next third one is Nirmanakaya. Nirmana means creation or manifestation. So manifestation body. So this manifestation body is necessarily manifestation body of form that ordinary people can see. Ordinary people like us, we can see. Like Shakyamuni Buddha is excellent Nirmanakaya. There are few types of Nirmanakaya, but here, of course, they're not listing those differences. Anyway, so let's stick with this text. The form body, the form body of Nirmana means form, the Kaya means body. Nirmanakaya establishes the world on the path to peace. So this means the Shakyamuni Buddha like came to the world. He came to the world in the form of excellent Nirmanakaya. Excellent Nirmanakaya means his body endowed 32 major and 80 minor marks, which are collectively called excellent Nirmanakaya. Excellent Nirmanakaya must have the 112 marks completely. Some people may be born with half a dozen of those excellent Nirmanakaya marks. There are also stories of some great masters in Tibet, and Nagarjuna, and so on. So a lot of them has many more Nirmanakaya form than ordinary one. But Shakyamuni had 112. He came to establish the world, to establish them on the path of peace, because sentient beings are not experiencing peace. They want peace, but they only experience tragedy, suffering, pain, and no peace. Never a moment of peace. Physically no peace, mentally no peace, behaviorally no peace, and there's hardly. They want to go to a peaceful place, but they take the rough mind with them. So, but when they meet when the Shakyamuni Buddha teaches the Dharma, which is establishing them on the path, and then it gives them peace. Nirvana is the peace. Nirvana is peace. So that's firstly establishing on the path. Secondly, the first, second, these three things in sequence, yeah. Firstly comes in person to establish Dharma, ripen people into the path. Second, to perfectly ripen. Perfectly ripen means Mahayana. The establishing the peace is Theravada, yeah, Theravada. So these three levels, and perfectly ripened means, because if you can be ripened and you could be made peaceful. If you look at our Theravadan brothers and monastics, you can really see they are very, very peaceful. Their manner how they observe the Vinaya is very, very beautiful. You can see they really observe them by the spirit of the letter. So this outwardly, we have no doubt they are not internally like that, but outwardly quite distinctive. Mahayana, perfectly ripened. Perfectly ripened means this is those who have been already made peaceful by the Dharma Vinaya and other practices. Then they are given this higher Vinaya. Because outer physical containment of physical behavior is good Vinaya, but it's even better the attitude is not just for you attaining nirvana, but for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that's called, in the middle, it is, and the second is perfectly ripened. Perfectly ripened means try to overcome the self being important to attain nirvana. That is not the purpose. Instead, it is to ripen, mature other sentient beings by one's own maturity. And the third is, in the end, give prophecy. Give them prophecy. Give them prophecy means give them that they too have Buddha nature. It's quite a big thing, If everybody was told they have Buddha nature, then they don't have to really go and find another capital somewhere else, You don't have to go to ANZ Bank to get the capital. You have all the capital yourself. So everybody got Buddha nature. So everybody is basically prophesied as Buddha. The question is whether they will all take into their hand or not. Take into their hand or not. It's not that they have to get something to become Buddha. They already have that. And this teaching that beings have Buddha nature is not really taught in Theravada whatsoever. They never use the word Buddha nature. And only Mahayana use that, and only if they're very ripened by bodhicitta teachings. If they ripen, even in the general, if you look at the graduate path to enlightenment or something, there is no real Buddha nature mentioned in there. They talk about need to cultivate bodhicitta and 6 causes, 1 result, and all of that, very, very thorough. But there isn't one actual chapter saying all sentient being Buddha nature, like this particular text. Like this particular, and some of the 5 Mahayana sutras, they explicitly say that all sentient beings have what you call naturally abiding Buddha nature, but those who deliberately cultivate bodhicitta has cultivated Buddha nature. So basically talking about bodhicitta is already cultivating Buddha nature, but if the Buddha nature teaching itself is not highlighted, it wouldn't quite liberate them. That's the third one, prophecy. You don't feel quite prophesied to attain Buddhahood unless you know that you all have Buddha nature as the seed in each of the practitioners. And as a result of that, Buddha himself manifests in the Rupakaya form. The forms remain forever. Which forms? The Sambhogakaya remain forever in the Akanishta realm, and Nirmanakaya also remain various forms in the world as long as they need. So both Rupakaya and Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya is for the until all sentient beings are ripened. They got to stay. They got to stay continuously in the world until all sentient beings are liberated. So that's why it says here, the forms remain forever in this world, like the form realm within the realm of space. Like the form realm always remain within the realm of space. There will never be a time where there's no realm of space. As long as there's a realm of space, there will be form realm. Likewise, as long as there remain sentient beings like space realm, as long as there are sentient beings, there will be form bodies of the Nirmanakaya and Sambhogakaya. So these are they stay in disguise. If they are excellent Nirmanakaya, they don't disguise, they will be as one line. But many of them as a artistic Nirmanakaya, birth Nirmana. Whole concept in Mahayana Buddhism, and which is particularly Tibetan Buddhism, the incarnation, reincarnation of high lamas, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, is the birth Nirmanakaya. Kui Kyewa we call it's a birth Nirmanakaya of Nirmanakaya manifesting through ordinary birth, but actually disguised as human beings, but otherwise bodhisattvas, in order to keep reminding sentient beings through their selfless Dhamma activities. So this is the very strongly held view and culture in Tibetan Buddhism. All Mahayana understand this, but for some reason in Japan or China or not many Mahayana Buddhist countries, they have taken up that very seriously. They haven't taken up the birth Nirmanakaya seriously, but they have taken up the idea of bodhisattvas, and like China has 8 bodhisattvas. There's 4 huge pilgrimage states in China is all to do with bodhisattvas. All the 4 blessed pilgrimage sites in India is all to do with the life of the Buddha. So therefore, the idea of the worshipping bodhisattvas, honoring bodhisattvas, is basically the bodhisattvas are nirmanakayas. Bodhisattvas nirmanakaya. Even when we say His Holiness Dalai Lama is emanation of Avalokitesha, we're talking because Avalokitesha is a bodhisattva. Because bodhisattva, he is therefore manifesting as a birth nirmanakaya. I think the whole Buddhist story in Tibet would be quite different if there was none of these practices. It has the whole Trikaya doctrine has become the hallmark of Tibetan Buddhism. It doesn't just get taught in the scripture. Actually, it whole institutionalized for very high purposes in a remarkably efficient way. Yeah. So that's why Nirmanakaya form remains forever in this world, like the form remaining within the realm of space. So that is the brief explanation of the three kayas. Now, as Asanga does, now the detailed explanation. The extensive explanation. This has the general classification, and then the nature of those classification. So we'll go over the general classification. General classification, verse number 100 to 209 rather, known as enlightenment. Because the three kayas are enlightened manifestation, therefore they are enlightenment, known as enlightenment, and they are self-arisen. So they are not born from a womb or anything like that. So the like Dharmakaya is not born. Dharmakaya doesn't have a birth Nirmanakaya, so we don't say that. It's only the form Nirmanakaya has a birth, but known as enlightenment is self-arisen. It's arisen by itself, and it is omniscient. It's omniscient meaning it knows all phenomena, and not conceiving supreme nirvana, meaning it does not not conceiving, meaning it doesn't have any conception of attaining nirvana. It does not have this need to have. It doesn't have conception of attaining nirvana. That Dharmakaya. It is the Lord of victory over the foes. Yeah. Meaning all the enemies, all the karma, affliction, foes of karmic and cognitive obscuration, for all of those enemy has been completely been subdued, and so that's the general classification. Then the nature of this classification of these three kayas, goes to say, when these are classified, when these three kayas are classified by way of their nature in relation to their qualities, they are deep. Now the deep refers to Dharmakaya. Vas refers to Sambhogakaya. Greatness refers to the greatness of the person refers to the Nirmanakaya. So these three, as it says, the deep, vast, and greatness of the person that are fulfilled through these three kayas, Swabhavakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, respectively. So Swabhavakaya or Dharmakaya is same. So the deep refers to Swabhavakaya or Dharmakaya. Vas refers to Sambhogakaya. So that's just those three general classification three. Then now specific classification of Dharmakaya itself, that also has general and specific. So we have general classification of the Dharmakaya itself. Of these means of these three kayas, it should be known that Swabhavakaya of the Buddhas possess 5 characteristics and if contains 5 qualities. So we talked that already, yeah? We talked that already, 5 characteristics and 5 qualities. So you can see that that's how this text goes. It's repeating what was mentioned specifically, what the 5 characteristics are, 5 qualities. It goes to summarize again, and for the sake of the general Dharmakaya. And now those 5, which 5 qualities and 5 characteristics we mentioned are further explained.
Our text only goes to verse 210.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you didn't see what I sent this afternoon.
Indeed.
Okay. So,
wait a minute.
did everybody receive only that at 210, is it?
No, that's from last week. Yeah.
Last week. But this afternoon one has until 2,218. So,
Okay, yes. Sorry, it's 5 o'clock. I more or less left by 5 o'clock.
yeah, that's right. So, and anyway, let me go through them
Yes.
without the text, but we'll send you the rest of the text. And so the 2,215, so the 12 goes now to explain specifics of the characteristic of Dharmakaya, and when it says that to explain that, so Dharmakaya is unconditioned, yeah, unconditioned. When we say, because unconditioned means Dharmakaya cannot be born, cannot be stayed, cannot be seized. So we already wholly invisible. Wholly is visible means that the Dharmakaya is one whole. It's indivisible itself as Sambhogakaya and so on. Dharmakaya could not be cut into pieces. So it cannot be separable at all, and it has completely abandoned the two extremes of I and mine. The I is the subject, mine is the object that subject possesses, and therefore it has completely abandoned the two extremes, and it's definitely liberated from the three obscurations. So there now it's talking about what are the three obscurations: obscuration of affliction, obscuration of knowledge. Usually these two obscuration we already know, yeah? What we gross obscuration of affliction and subtle obscuration of knowledge. And then the third is the obscuration of meditative equipoise. So Dharmakaya is free of these three obscurations. So those who are having to work with the three obscurations are not Dharmakaya. That's the ordinary people. Ordinary people also, most people have, like the Arhat has overcome the obscuration of afflictions, but they have not overcome the obscuration knowledge because they think nirvana is real. So for them, the grasping to the nirvana as truly is obscuration, thinking it is truly existing. So they haven't realized the emptiness of phenomena. They have realized emptiness of self, but not emptiness of phenomena. And then the third is the obscuration of meditative equipoise. So meditative equipoise. There are nine meditative states. Yeah, nine worldly meditative states before it goes to transcendental meditative state. So each of these, until each of the meditative states and their fallacy or their subtle obscuration of meditation, like the attachment to the high, the jhanas, the bliss, and all that becomes their own kind of subtle attachment. So these are not really comparable attachment we can relate to. But for the practitioners, those nine meditative obscurations are definitely then they need to go to work. So that refers to the three. That's what the three obscuration, meditative equipoise obscuration. When they talk about worldly meditation, they have nine meditative equipoise to do with the three realms. Being immaculate, because the mind of the Dharmakaya is free of these three obscuration. It is therefore immaculate. Immaculate and not conceptual, because it doesn't have this subject and object, I and mine. Because it hasn't got subject and object, therefore there is no conception that I conception. There's no conception I, no conception the other, no conception of mine. That would be interesting to be, I wouldn't be talking here. It would be difficult to talk about that. So, because you don't have any conception, and it is necessarily domain of the yogis. So the yogis who are in a deep meditative state, without any of the obscuration, then they are in the dwelling in the dharmata, and that is what we call dharmata or dharmadhatu, because dharmadhatu is naturally being pure, and therefore it is luminosity. So the mind is the luminosity is natural, It is the adventitious obscuration of our mind that is hindering. The luminosity itself doesn't need to be improved or added or boosted. It doesn't need to do anything because it is naturally pure. So, but yogis are able to experience that because they have gotten rid of, abandoned all those three kind of obscurations. Swabhavakaya truly endows. So therefore, Swabhavakaya means Dharmakaya. The Swabhavakaya truly endows the final and ultimate qualities being unfathomable. So we were talking about that before, unfathomable. Nobody can measure, nobody can weigh, and therefore, because it is vast, because it is so vast, it is unfathomable. Because it is so countless, it could not list which are the qualities. You can't even express and conceive the qualities. So they are countless. You could not possibly keep the number, and therefore it's inconceivable. So these are the qualities, and therefore they are not peerless and perfect purity. Peerless meaning they are not domain of the intellectuals and conceptualists. The conceptualists, whenever they conceptualize the views, they always debate against each other. So this realization of Dharmakaya is not conceptualizable. So therefore it's peerless. Because otherwise all philosophical doctrines, whatever you hold, everybody argues against each other. But this is matchless. This hasn't got any conceptual. This has no kind of rival conceptualists to argue about it. Peerless. And perfect purity means because of that it has incomparable qualities. Perfect purity means it is incomparable qualities. So it is the only domain or qualities of the Buddha alone. Since Dharmakaya is vast, so that's why it's talking about Dharmakaya is vast, uncountable, not an object of dialectics. Dialectics cannot talk about the Dharmakaya because it's not an object. It is state of it itself, and has eliminated all, including the imprints. So all the gross and subtle obscuration, the imprints are completely eliminated because they eliminated. It is unfathomable and so on, respectively. So it is referred to the verse number 214 and 215 are you have to pair them to look at the description. Why Dharmakaya and Swabhavakaya is interchangeably used as the same. So those 5 characteristic and 5 qualities of Dharmakaya are once again explained specifically between 212 and 215. So that's Dharmakaya. Now specifically explaining the characteristic of Sambhogakaya extensively. This has three parts. Recognizing the five characteristics of Sambhogakaya, and then synthesizing them. So five characteristics of Sambhogakaya is explained verse number 216. It says, perfectly enjoying various aspects of Dharma. So this is talking about the various aspects of teachings of the Dharma. Various aspects, enjoying the teachings, enjoying the teachings. Your enlightenment comes from hearing the enjoyment of the teachings. Sometimes we call speech born. Our realization came from the speech of the hearing the speech of the Buddha. If it is once we hear this verbal description of the Buddha's teachings, and then we say, and because of that, a realization arose in us, and therefore it's perfect enjoyment. There's no comparable thing that you enjoy. Perfectly enjoying various aspects of Dharma through the speech of the Dharma, So the Sambhogakaya means enjoyment body. Enjoyment is the speech of the Buddha is enjoyment body. Otherwise solitude, very few people enjoy. and the dark room, very few people enjoy. Cold mornings, very few people enjoy. But when they hear the teachings of the Dharma, and then they are really enjoying. This is the relishing that we're talking about. There is no comparison to the truth of the Dharma's taste. And truth of Dharma you only taste by hearing. And hearing only comes from the speech, and speech only comes from the speech of the enlightened one. Because the enlightened ones is now manifesting. Because this topic of this tonight is about how it manifests. How does the enlightened manifest to you and us? It came through speech of the Buddha. And that's why the speech is taken with great respect, receiving the oral transmission, reading the text, understanding the glossary, what is the definition. And once we understand that, we then enjoy the actual juicy meaning of the Dharma, and then we enjoy the Dharma. Why people take refuge in Dharma? Because they have nothing, no other edible food, or no clothes to wear, or no music to listen. Yeah, they have lots of music to listen, but still, that's after 5 minutes you get bored on that CD. Tried another one, and I tried another one. But Dharma, you wear it, listen, you never get tired, and never say, I have heard that before. Can you please do something else? So Dharma is the enjoyment body of the Buddha. So Buddha's enlightenment and teaching, 84,000 discourses he taught, and whoever hears and reads the Dharma, they all enjoy like no other food or clothes or possessions. Even the whole world, Professor Samdong Rinpoche said this. I think he's a really great thinker. He said, if the whole world's wealth put in one scale and the Heart Sutra put another scale, he says Heart Sutra is still more valuable. It's amazing. It's true, That's when you understand the meaning of the Dharma, whether it's Heart Sutra or whatever it is. Because Heart Sutra is relatively short, he says it's much more valuable, much more delicious if you have the teeth to bite it. It's much more enjoyable in long run than any other kind of delicacies of properties or possessions or whatever people think are there to go and enjoy for. People go for enjoy for a day, and after that they get really, I had enough. Nobody says I had enough Dharma. Some people say I had enough Dharma, but they're talking about Dharma, the drama. They're talking about that I had enough of Dharma people, means all the Dharma people making drama. Dharma, you can never sort of denigrate. I had enough Dharma. Would never, unthinkable thing to say. You shouldn't. I have never heard of that. People say that. So when people say I had enough Dharma, means they're talking about this so-called Dharma people who are deluded, who fail to practice Dharma their own, and then throw mud at each other as if he's not perfect, she's not perfect, and they think everybody should be perfect. And then they forgot the enlightened qualities are nothing like that, That's why enlightened beings are so rare. because of rarity, we take refuge in the triple gem. Otherwise, take refuge in everything, every robe, every status, everybody becomes savior. Buddha says, I'm no savior. Yet people, due to Judeo-Christian influence, they always seek savior in people. They always seek savior in their life. They think the gurus they should be savior. They should be perfect. They should not have any karma. They should have no. I mean, that's a really good expectation, It's not a bad idea. But they're so rare. They're so rare. So rare. That's what they say. Only in unfortunate eon, the Buddha come. Only one Buddha will come. They never say Buddha will come for hundreds of them, thousands of them. Only one Buddha came, and there has never been one ever since Shakyamuni Buddha. There have been others who are arhats, stream enterers, once returners, non-returners, and arhats. First Bhumi Bodhisattvas, second Bhumi Bodhisattva, sixth Bhumi Bodhisattva, even 8 Bhumi Bodhisattvas. Even 10 Bhumi Bodhisattva, still not perfectly enlightened one. Samyak Sambuddha exceeds all the above, So, therefore, very rare. Very rare. So we otherwise everything is the fact that we have to see others as a pure is because to train our pure perception. It's not because they all are like the Buddha. I wish they were, but that's not possible. It's to train our mind. We say not only your teachers are Buddha, but all sentient beings are Buddha. If you really take that teaching seriously, the whole idea of that seeing the Guru as Buddha is not because you have to see the Guru as Buddha, so that you can see everybody as Buddha, not just the Guru, So it's not so much the quality of the other, but try to train the quality of our mind that we may develop if we practice like Milarepa. If we practice like Milarepa, you will see the Buddha in Marpa. You will see the Marpa because he was so purified himself. He did all the purification practices himself. He relinquished all. He owned his own karma, and because of that, he was able to see. Not everybody was seeing Marpa as a Vajra. If the object truly exists as a Vajra, then everybody should see Marpa as a Vajra. Most people saw Marpa as a quite a difficult guy, and always farming and maybe translating few texts here and there. Of course, Marpa wasn't seen as a Vajra by everybody. By the way, I wish I did. I wasn't there. But if you have the pure perception of Milarepa, of course it did. So that's why it is important to know. So now the Sambhogakaya has five characteristics. For Sambhogakaya has 5 characteristics. Perfectly enjoying various aspects of Dharma. So that's exactly so. Because it teaches the Dharma. The fact that we love Dharma is because the Sambhogakaya speech of the Buddha. Not because somebody else, not because Nagarjuna wrote it, not because Chandrakirti wrote it, not because Asanga wrote it, because it was already enjoyable in the scriptures on the Buddha Vajana and Shastras written by Nagarjuna and Asanga. They are just facilitating. They're just distributing. They're just distributing to what was the perfectly enjoying various effects Dharma. Sambhogakaya manifests natural qualities, and therefore, when people with the logical reason in mind look into the meaning of the teaching very clearly, the teaching manifests. Teaching teaches them. What does teaching do? Teaches them. What does teaching do? Teaching transforms them. Their bitter life becomes sweet. Yeah, their poor me becomes not poor me, and their sorrow become cause of nirvana. Their setbacks become cause of renunciation of those very things that one has developing aversion to. So the Sambhogakaya Dharma, Sambhogakaya is the enjoyment body of the language of the Dharma. Enjoyment is the language of the Dharma. Is the language. Is the language of the Dharma. Is the thing, the language of the Dharma. And when the Dharma manifests, everybody can hear different things. Exactly what they need to hear. It manifests a quality they themselves need to get. Which, with concordant cause and pure compassion, so this is talking about the Sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya is engaging in the proliferation of Dharma in order to suit the sentient beings out of great compassion. With concordant causes, meaning they are facilitating, tailoring the teachings according to different sentient beings of their empire, their mentality and propensities, pure compassion, and there is incessant. That doesn't benefit today and stops tomorrow. The benefit is incessant. So these three activities of manifesting compassion and uninterrupted. These are three activities of Sambhogakaya, and then it necessarily fulfills the wishes non-conceptually and spontaneously. So this is talking of a manner in which the Sambhogakaya ripens sentient beings is non-conceptually. Students who really hear the Dharma, they become ripened non-conceptually by it, and therefore spontaneously. Because a lot of people get stuck in the words, when they study intellectually. When they study intellectually and they don't go beyond the words. But those who really are able to listen to the teaching, they go beyond the words and beyond the conceptualizations, and they spontaneously it delivers the very teaching, and that fulfills, in order to fulfill the needs of complete. Then it fulfills the real needs of sentient beings. It is not trying to placate or try to bribe sentient beings temporarily. No, they may hear the very least thing they want to hear. And then slowly that very thing that they did not want to hear become the very medicine. Because it says, for instance, loving kindness is not to love someone who loves you. Loving kindness is to overcome someone's hate to you with love. So loving kindness doesn't mean that someone who loving to you and you love vice versa. It's an attachment. That's not Sambhogakaya teaching. That's a worldly Dharma. True Dharma would tell you that the one who hates you, or if you hate somebody, that hate should be conquered by your love. It's very difficult to accept that. But when you do it, it is nectar. Then it is truly fulfilling. It's truly fulfilling, because that benefits sentient beings immeasurably. That's a pure compassion. Pure medicine hurts. Good medicine burns. Good medicine hurts. Bitter medicine cures, they call it. The sweet medicine, I don't think cure much. So that's why the Dharma, the incessant benefit, in order to fulfill the needs, it fulfill needs completely. Its miraculous powers. Dharma has this miraculous ability to change. Because it is about changing your mind. It's not changing a globe into a wheel and a wheel into a horse. That's not miracle. That's just mechanization. All the drones are very, very miraculous. But they just take photos of some enemies or something so that you can shoot them. What kind of miracle is that? And who needs that kind of miracle? As we couldn't spot the enemy. These are no miracles. This is just contaminated worldly miracles, only to cause suffering to each other more. And so these things are not miraculous. These things is a mechanization of things, things, manipulation of electronics, But one who has actually able to miraculous powers, power that actually shift your hate into compassion, shift your discontentment into contentment, shift your helplessness into helpfulness. So you thought you couldn't get rid of all of that. But you could get rid of all of them. Still, you don't think you lost nothing. If you realize non-attachment, you couldn't. There is nothing you could get rid of. Because if you don't get rid of them, they will get rid of you. And your things will pile up, but you will be gotten rid of into the graveyard. Vice versa, Non-conceptually spontaneous, in order to fulfill all needs completely, it is miraculous. Like a wish-fulfilling gem, it fully abides in perfect enjoyment. So these 5 qualities of the Sambhogakaya, Sambhogakaya will greatly enjoy the perfect enjoyment of the Mahayana teachings. Perfect enjoyment of Mahayana teachings. That's what it's really talking about. Abides in the perfect enjoyment. So now the summary of all of that, all of this is all of that is the 6th one. That's this manifestation of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. And that's covered in the verse 218. Here are the 5 aspects. Here the 5 aspects are shown. What 5 aspects are shown? Meaning the speech. The speech is uttered. And emanation body is seen. Yeah, speech is heard, body is seen, and the deeds are uninterrupted. The deeds of the Buddha didn't stop after he passed away in nirvana. Deeds of the Buddha is still pulsating, and if you and your friends are studying Dharma and practicing Dharma, and arrange your time around the Dharma practices, Dharma activities, which a lot of you do, It's amazing, really. I wonder what people would have been doing if they didn't have Dharma. They're all soaking in alcohol. And not much. But all of these Buddha activities, deeds are uninterrupted. It is always making your time, energy, doing things this week, doing things next week. A few things you have to do just to keep the roof not leaking and things like that. But the rest of it is just all about Dharma. All about Dharma. Why is this happening? Because this is the uninterrupted activities of the Buddha, the enlightenment. Enlightened activities is not interrupting, it's not stopping. It is continue to buzz, continue to shift, continue to make you think, maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe I shouldn't spend my time doing this in the afternoon, maybe I shouldn't do this in the end of the week, I should do this instead, and maybe I should not think it's her fault, maybe I should go and reconcile with her, spend more time with her. All these things people are doing is due to the enlightenment of the Buddha. It's the enlightenment of the Buddha has made all these people busy. And this enlightening activity is enlightening them, by the way. Enlightening meaning the weight of the heavy karma. Here, all these things are lightening. These things are starting to sort of drop. Some of the drags or weight of the suffering are dropping because there is the uninterrupted deed of the Buddha. Every deed has a done. Every deed has a result. Every deed has a dint. Every deed has a dint, don't you think? That's it, yeah. Every deed has a dint. And the dint has more dint. And if you experience if you start to practice deed of dint, then others will also be affected by the dint. Our teachers pass away, and their qualities dint us. Their qualities inspires us. Their qualities shift our legacy or direction in a way that we never thought. I mean, amazing, really. Most people are trying to fulfill the wishes of their lineage order, their gurus, their teachers, but if for themselves, they would care less. But they're so inspired. But they're going to do something to pass the torch to the next generation, to the next generation, to the next generation. So these are the uninterrupted deeds. If there was no enlightenment of the Buddha, there would be no enlightenment of Milarepa. There wouldn't be these practices, teachings now. Look at the many places, many countries. They never have Dharma. How they're spending their time? They're just completely destroying each other by using aggression, tit for tat, violence and so on. Because those who have the karma and dharma and have the amazing sort of receptivity to understand Dharma, their activities how they spend the time are very much goes around inspiration of the enlightenment of the Buddha. So it is the enlightenment of the Buddha that all of our association is somewhat meaningful. Maybe each of our life is slightly more meaningful than it used to be. Yeah, it's due to the deed of the enlightenment of the Buddha that we are more resorting to practice tolerance, even though some situations it's unbearably difficult. But still, we know, they have this story of this for the last few days in Nepal. A monk was slapped by this heroine, they call it heroine, movie star, because she was on a movie premiere. Thousands of people come because that's what the crazy people do, and they think it's good to take a photo with her because it's her movie, and then she thinks the monk is in a pinch of bottom. Can you believe? I don't know what the monk is doing in the crowd anyway. In Nepal, they do. All the monks go to the movies. So most of the young boys just have a little bit. They want to go what everybody's doing because they don't know what's the difference. Anyway, he's a really innocent monk. He didn't do anything, But in the crowd of so many, everybody taking selfie with her, and of course you will be pushed. This is Nepal, this is not Australia. In Australia, people a little bit gap, a little bit 1.5 meter away from each other. but if some famous actress comes like in town movie premiere, I'm sure people go and take selfies and crowding like that, and all the various social media took photos, different things. They're all showing. There's not a single proof that monk ever even come near her, let alone do anything. But someone else did exactly what she felt, But she turned around, but the crowd was moving, and the monk happened to be right behind her, and she just slapped him, hit him, and pulled him up and down, and even put him in jail. Then people now passing remarks saying the monk actually go and pull his ears in front of her and apologize, because he obviously realized she was upset, and not because in the crowd, he was part of the crowd. But of course, everybody's saying he was innocent monk. He instead of arguing, he just apologized in front of that, and they were saying, "Oh, this monk is living the teaching of the Dharma because he is tolerant. He didn't try to defend himself. He tried to apologize. He still go and sign a piece of paper. They asked to sign a piece of paper. He didn't sign the paper because he never knew how to read the damn thing in Nepalese language. He thought it was saying they have no grievances against each other. He please let him go. He thought that, but the letter said some other things, and the thing they meant. So he was completely innocent, the whole thing, and everybody's passing remark. Oh, this young monk is practicing the teachings of the Buddha: non-violence, patience, and forgiveness and apology. He practicing all of this, And people are saying that all villagers stood up to defend the monk, saying they couldn't see anything he did, but they could see everything else was going on very clearly, and yet she made him to kneel down, pull his ear down. She slapped him, pulled him here and there. Her boyfriend just, strangled the monk. All of this, the monk still doing this to everyone, and tried to run out of the crowd because he realized he should never been there. And the people are remarking. People are putting remarks, commenting, saying that monk's behavior was an admirable example of what a practitioner should be, because he faced violence, he faced intimidation, he was forced to confess what he didn't do, but still he signed a piece of paper saying he has no grudge against anybody. So it's like that. Why is the one monk do this? Because he remembers his vows. They said he remembers his vows. He knows that it's not a question of who's right and who's wrong, but what one needs to do. So this is what I'm talking about. The deeds of the Buddha's enlightenment blesses people to accept abuse, difficulties, face whatever it is. Because teaching says, accept all the blames. Accept all the blames. And that's exactly the monk was doing. He didn't do anything, but he was pulling his own ears in front of the crowd like this. And people have these photos, videos showing what was happening. He was not near there. But he obviously knew she was pushed by the crowd, and she was really furious, and she slapped him, and he was like a schoolboy doing that. He's like maybe 20-year-old, whatever. As a Nepalese monk, he barely spoke much Nepalese. He spoke Nepalese, but he couldn't read any Nepalese. But he signed this paper. So people were saying, "Oh, we're so proud that this monk has practiced what the Buddha taught: to be patient, to be humble, to be forgiving, to be non-retaliatory, and all of that." Why? Because of the deed of the enlightened Buddha's legacy or blessings changes people, not just in his own practice, but where he need to do that. He could have easily slapped her back. That's easy. Zero tolerance. Particularly if you haven't done anything, you would go and defend yourself. You could go to the police saying she hit me. No, she hit him and still put him to jail. Can you believe it? So therefore, these are the blessings of the Buddha's enlightenment, deeds of enlightenment, deeds of humility and kindness. Buddha himself faced such humiliation. He himself was charged by people saying he fathered. One nun went to the Buddha saying he fathered a child, I'm carrying his child. All these sorts of things. Buddha himself faced all of that, Of course, people face these, but that's exact place to practice Dharma. Why? Because that's what enlightened beings' blessings beat in the heart of the people. This being uncontrived, and also this not contrived. The monk was so honest, so clearly, he wasn't trying to act to prove that he's good and she's not. He signed a piece of paper saying she didn't do anything wrong to him. And she's now carrying this paper saying he told me that he didn't do anything, I didn't do anything wrong, and he actually pushed me. But he never said he pushed her. So, it does not manifest its true identity. Yeah. So this is the summary. These 5 are the summary of all the succinct summary of the qualities or manifestation of the 3 kayas. So that concludes the 6 of these 8 points about enlightenment, which is largely about the 3 kayas. Okay, so we're gonna conclude here. Thank you, everybody. So next week we will be doing the 16-hour puja with the Tibetan community here. So please, join us. Both in here person or there person, because Sakadawa falls on Tuesday. We were first hoping to do something on the day, morning, but then we be doing Nyungne and Vajrayogini whole weekend, 3 days. So we got two retreats concurrently happening at Virupa over the long weekend. Then the Sakadawa falls on Tuesday, so we decided to do something that everybody can participate and join here, rather than few of us up in Virupa early morning taking the precepts, where people can take precepts themselves at home. So if you want to do that, I strongly urge to take precept on early morning on Tuesday, and then we're going to join the practice itself. And there are lots of Sakadawa related celebration that are offered various parts of the world too. So you don't necessarily have to do one and not the other. Do whichever one is convenient for you to join. His Holiness Dalai Lama doing similar thing, but Dharamsala, and His Holiness Sakya Kongma Trichin doing something in USA. So any time zone suits you, you can participate. So with this, we'll do the dedication. Mary, thank you, everyone. So we are all consequences of the Buddha's enlightenment. So that's the that's the summary of tonight's talk. Whatever to the Mahayana Asama Tabara follow it, Adezava, Ashadega, Odemera, Mele, Sere, Bodhicida, Tebe, Edana, Yedanza, whereas Vembo, Meyedingri, Free Thank you, Ran.